Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Bathrobe Chat with Steve the Missionary. Hope everyone's doing all right. Please remember to join the chat. I'm always here to answer questions and comments and get involved with what you guys are thinking. Thank you for watching, everyone who's watching live and everyone who comes in later and watches the video after we're all done. Welcome to Bathrobe Chat, where I talk about what's going on in the world over the week and any reactions to the videos that I've recently put out. So first of all, I want to thank everybody who made my most recent video about the Knights of Columbus, my most watched video of 2019. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much. For those of you who need a little recap, my Knights of Columbus video was about a little bit of a complaint, very much a millennial complaint about what the Knights of Columbus are doing, who they are, and why young people don't join. And it was a lot of fun to make, a lot of fun to watch it kind of get a lot of responses. And I kind of got 4 categories of response when I made my Knights of Columbus video. So the first one was young men agreeing with me, just straight up saying, that's exactly how I feel. Good job. I hope other people can understand what this means. And that really made me feel good. This was, I think, by far the top response people had. Just, that's exactly how I feel, and I am 29, or something like that. The second one, which was actually the most fun to read, was success stories. Really weird. A lot of them were kind of off the wall success stories, sometimes from priests who are the chaplains to their own small communities of Knights of Columbus. Sometimes they were young men or even older men that joined and then helped kind of revitalize and reform what was going on in their own individual chapters. And those were a lot of fun. I really enjoyed watching that happen. And just proof that, you know, fraternal organizations and other interchurch lay movements and organizations are a good thing. The video was never an argument against the concept of the Knights, which was fun to make it that way. It was about how if you want young people to join, you need to respond to why young people would join anything. So that was fun to do. The third one was kind of the third category of responses was kind of weird. They were weird like diagnosis and responses to what would fix the Knights of Columbus. These were the most fun to read in that they were just kind of made my face cock an eyebrow and go, okay, dude. So there were a couple. One guy said the Knights of Columbus need to go back to who they are, in that they need to dress even more weirdly during their meetings and ceremonies. So that was one thing. Another one said that the Knights of Columbus would grow if Crux magazine and Crux newspaper would stop printing anti-traditionalist stuff. Okay. And then there were people complaining about the name Knights of Columbus, which I chose not to touch in the video. But I'll mention here, Knights of Columbus, as far as I can tell, please correct me if I'm wrong. Knights of Columbus was named way back in the day, back when things like Columbus Day were still being kind of rallied for and lobbied for in the United States. And it's part of a broader story in America where Catholics and Italian Catholics were trying to prove to the rest of the United States that they were American enough to be trusted, to be considered worthy of all the rights and privileges that fully privileged white Americans were given. Especially, you know, this is especially like 100 years ago, 180 or 100 years ago, or 80 years ago, when these things were happening. So one way that Italians and Italian Catholics tried to do that was by really playing up the story of Christopher Columbus, who was Italian, even though he was hired by the Spanish government to sail over here. And if you can really attach Christopher Columbus as pivotal moment in the creation of the United States of America and his Italianness and his Catholicism, you can make Catholics and Italians look like vital members of the American society, and not just weird outsiders and immigrants. So that's what they did. And so this happened in the form of things like Columbus Day and things like naming your group the Knights of Columbus. And remember, the Knights of Columbus has their weird multi-level structure and their very long meetings as a way to kind of it's an old tool to give Catholic men a very orderly, storied sort of structure without them being Masons, because Masons have a very particular anti-Catholic bent to them. And so Catholics aren't allowed to join. The Catholic Church says that you can't join. So we needed to give them, it was almost like it was a boys and girls club for grown men who wanted to join the Masons. We made this side group that had funky costumes and had a lot of layers and levels that you could join up. And to this day, there are secret parts of the Knights of Columbus that people like me who aren't members of the Knights don't know about because of their history of this anti-Masonry and of this Catholics are Americans too. And so it turns into the Knights of Columbus who have all these rules. Nowadays, your run-of-the-mill Catholic is less tempted to join the Masons, even though the Masons completely exist nowadays. And they pretty much do what they've always done. They've been a really good way for billionaires to connect with each other. They're really good at that. And so the Masons still exist, but they're not like the major temptation of American Catholics to join. And the Italians and Catholics don't really have to work that hard to prove that we're Americans anymore. Some people I know, and I'm tempted to say this too, is that we actually worked too hard to prove that we were Americans, to our own detriment. And now people are confused when we we'll say, like, when we're so radically pro-life, but like that's part of constitutional law. How could you say that if you're so dang American? Well, it's because we're Catholic first, and the morality involved in that, as well as just knowing things in science, can be involved in that. So those two main reasons that we have the structure of the Knights of Columbus and the name the Knights of Columbus don't exist anymore. On top of that, more and more of us are much more aware that the Christopher Columbus is not exactly a heroically virtuous person that we want to emulate in terms of faith and morals and charity. So that's a thing. Crossing the Atlantic Ocean and surviving all the way here, and surviving all the way from Spain to Hispaniola and then all the way back 3 times is very commendable. But other moral actions of Christopher Columbus are not. And if you want to name a Catholic fraternal organization, maybe name it after a saint or a blessed or a servant of God. So my take is that, oh gosh, the Oatmeal, that internet cartoon, a few years back, did a whole thing about Christopher Columbus and why we shouldn't celebrate Christopher Columbus Day, and proposed something else. And he proposed a day to celebrate Bartolomeo de las Casas, with the fun fact that you could just call it Bartolome Day, which is great. And I like that a lot. One is, he is a blessed, or at least a servant of God within the Catholic Church. He was a Dominican friar. And he is from Europe and a major part of the establishment of the United States of America, or the Americas at the very, very least. And so all of those reasons that you would have it in the first place, on top of being a person who you want to emulate morally, makes me think that you should totally call the Knights of Columbus the Knights of Bartolomeo. But that's not my call, because I'm not a Knight of Columbus. And this goes back to the 4th category of reaction to my video, which is, why don't you just join and fix it from the inside? There were a couple particularly snotty ones that were like, back in my day, we encouraged virtuous and good things, and we didn't just stand by and be snobby about it. And my response to that is, I will join and fix something that I love deeply and absolutely deeply desire to continue. And that's just not an emotion I have toward the Knights of Columbus. If the Knights of Columbus stay and exist for a long time, that's a good thing, but it's not something I care about enough to fight that hard for. There are other things like the Catholic Church in its existence, my own family, my country, my parish, but the Knights, or even like my chapter of the Knights that meets at my local parish, those aren't something I feel that that deeply toward. I'm currently mesmerized by the reflection on my eyes. I apologize to everybody, but I'm like, oh my gosh, does that weird you guys out? Because it's kind of weirding me out. um, so that's what. Oh my gosh, there's the live chat. Hi everybody. Okay, who's here? I haven't seen it. It's Rebecca, it's Sean, and it's Joe and Javier. Hi Javier. Most recently. Let's see. We've got Rebecca, who's got a really good Knights of Columbus group in her town, which is awesome. And I have a friend who legitimately tried to join and make suggestions, but they were not for it. And that's what I've noticed a lot. That's a church-wide problem as well, Rebecca, and also Sean responding to hello. That's a problem that I've seen not just in the Knights of Columbus, but in general churchy stuff, which I've written about before too. That we are told constantly, if you want to change, join, and then we join and we do our best to do the hard work and to gain goodwill among the people around us, and then we try to fix something. Suggest a change, try to explain our point of view and the point of view of our peers so that whatever group within the church can help us more. And once we do explain that, we are silenced, we are belittled, we are asked to stop talking. So if that's our experience constantly in the church, don't be surprised if we don't join those big groups. I was writing for the TV show Repent and Submit that myself and Tommy Ty are a part of on Catholic TV, and I was writing a segment about saints, and I was writing about two different saints, Blessed Chiara and Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati, and they were both 20th century young adult saints who both died very young. Chiara died at 19, Pier Giorgio Frassati died at 24. And I really was fascinated by how both of them invented new ministries and groups that. Oh, Joe, you're right. Uh-oh. Shoot. I made this live chat on my personal Gmail account and not on Steve the Missionary. That was dumb. Okay. I'll just finish it here. Thank you, Joe, for figuring out what happened. I will never make this mistake again. Oh, man. Okay. What was I even talking about? Oh, yeah. Pier Giorgio Frassati and Blessed Chiara both joined new ministries, or Blessed Chiara joined Focolare, which was very recent, and Pier Giorgio Frassati invented a young adult ministry at his parish and at his school, and then invented an anti-fascist organization at his school, and that was a fascinating thing for me. They didn't pick up on an old on older ministries or groups within their parish. They saw a need and they went and they met it through more recent means. I think that those are very good role models for us. So that's all I really have to say about that. This is probably, the funny thing is, this is probably going to be the best watched video on my personal Gmail account. So enjoy that, everyone, Sean, Joe, and Rebecca and Javier. So that's really funny. Okay, so thank you again for making my There's No Reason to Join the Knights of Columbus the most popular video of the year. Please I'm also happy about the other video that I made, the books I stole from work. The stack is actually still here. I'll get most of them right. Ugh. They're currently the display stack for my Seed the Missionary videos. The next month of Seed the Missionary videos is going to have this in the background. Around Lent, I will probably swap it out. But let me know which of my books I should put up there. If you have any recommendations, let me know. The for that video, the funny thing is, so to remind people how I did steal those books from work. I'm so mad at myself. About this video. We were clearing out the kind of shelf, the library at work, and there were some books that were going to get just either tossed or donated. And out of that group of books, I lifted some and brought them home with me. I did not steal from my employer or anything like that. I just lifted some books that were going to get thrown away. But the hilarious thing is, I got one obviously writing it sarcastically and for fun. You shouldn't steal books. That's breaking the 8th commandment. I forget which commandment. But the other one was someone like, actually, like, you should not condone theft. You are breaking a commandment and need to go to confession. I know what. I'm not going to promote mortal sin on my channel. I am a sinner. I'm not going to say I don't sin, but when I do, I'm not going to film it and promote it. Let's put it that way. So I'll be the judge of that random person. Oh, the Jesus of Nazareth Holy Week book. That's genius. Rebecca just recommended that I read the Jesus of Nazareth book written by Benedict XVI. But he wrote it as Joseph Ratzinger. He wrote it as Pope, or while he was Pope, but not as a papal document, more as like a scholarly devotional book. And I started to read it, and it's heavy. It's a lot denser than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be kind of a breeze, but I should look into it again because it is that good. The current spiritual reading I'm doing is this Spiritual Combat by Lorenzo Scopoli. And in the Eastern Church, it's known as Unseen Warfare, which is, I like things with really hardcore titles and then are a lot nicer in the actual text, like like Repent and Submit, the TV show. It has a really hardcore title, and then it's actually kind of goofy when you watch it. More things that happened this week. The State of the Union. Was anyone else bored to tears by the State of the Union or didn't watch? You were much smarter than me if you didn't watch the State of the Union. The Grammys were last night. I forced my parents to watch the Grammys in case I wanted to see something on this channel about it. Two things. Janelle Monáe killed it, and Casey Musgraves won, which makes me very happy. One, I'm always happy when a country album makes a splash. And I will talk about the Dolly tribute. One, I'm always happy when a country song or a country album makes a splash. Two, I'm extremely happy that these awards and accolades are going to Casey Musgraves. And there are people who respond with, that girl doesn't sound that country. And you're right, she's definitely melding country and pop. But she's melding country and pop in good ways, in ways that make for interesting music. I would much rather that pop country and radio country go the way of Casey Musgraves than the way of Florida Georgia Line. That's the easiest choice of all time in my book. If I'd rather have a radio station full of Follow Your Arrow or a radio station full of Meant to Be, I would choose Follow Your Arrow every time. Easy. The Dolly Parton tribute was hilarious to me, and I did not see Punch Brothers acceptance speech. I didn't know they won. Joe. So at the Grammys, there was a tribute to Dolly Parton, part of which Dolly Parton sang herself. There was also a tribute to Diana Ross, entirely sung by Diana Ross, which was hilarious. Where she went, "Happy birthday to me," like 3 times in a row, and it was great. The Dolly Parton there was a country band on stage, and then Katy Perry and Maren Morris? No, Casey Musgraves were on stage, sang a song, and then Dolly Parton came and sang the rest and duetted. And it was hilarious how Katy Perry was trying too hard. Casey Musgraves did okay, and Dolly Parton comes on stage and is easily past her prime and still blew them out of the water. It was hilarious to watch her kind of scratch and eke along and still sing better than the other two. That's how powerful Dolly's voice is. And that's by no means meant to knock people like Casey Musgraves. And then, or Katy Perry for that matter. And then the same thing happened with Jolene, sung by Miley Cyrus, who, fun fact, Dolly Parton is Miley Cyrus's godmother. And for those of you who didn't know that before, Miley Cyrus can really sing the heck out of Jolene. But Dolly can still like completely own. And then the sad part of that tribute was when there was a beautiful 3-part harmony on one of Dolly's songs. And then it got messed up at the end by the low note by Miley Cyrus. She super messed it up at the end. And you could see Dolly kind of just shake her head like, you didn't get it. You didn't get it. So I am excited to see what you guys think of my next videos coming up this week. I've got the official Patreon pitch from the Steve the Missionary channel is coming up this week. And a video about St. Valentine's Day, which in church terms is actually St. Cyril and Methodius Day. Please have fun with those 2 videos. Come back next week with all of your reactions and stuff, where I will be on the actual Steve the Missionary page next week. And enjoy your week. I hope everyone's having a good February. We're already into February. This year's going to go by so fast. God bless and take care. Amen.